भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. Namaste, my dear friends. This is video number 28 on Talks with Sri Ramana Maharshi. I start this video with talk number 407. A devotee puts a question to Maharshi. Saint Teresa and others saw the image of Madonna illuminated. It was external. Others see the images of their devotion in their mental sight. This is internal. Is there any difference in degree in these two cases? Maharshi replies, both indicate that the person has strongly developed meditation. Both are good and progressive. There is no difference in degree. The one has a conception of divinity and draws mental images and feels them. The other has the conception of divinity in the image and feels it in the image. The feeling is within in both instances. 21st April 1937, talk number 408. With reference to the location of the heart center on the right side of the human body, Sri Bhagwan said, I had been saying all along that the heart center was on the right, notwithstanding the refutation by some learned man that physiology taught them otherwise. I speak from experience. I knew it even in my home during my trances. Again, during the incident related in the book Self-Realization, I had a very clear vision and experience. All of a sudden, a light came from one side, erasing the world vision in its course. All of a sudden, a light came from one side, erasing the world vision in its course until it spread all round when the vision of the world was completely cut out. I felt the muscular organ on the left had stopped work. I could understand that the body was like a corpse, that the circulation of blood had stopped and the body became blue and motionless. Vasudeva Sastri embraced the body, wept over my death, but I could not speak. All the time I was feeling that the heart center on the right was working as well as ever. As well as ever. This state continued 15 or 20 minutes. Then suddenly something shot out from the right to the left, resembling a rocket bursting in air. The blood circulation was resumed and normal condition restored. I then asked Vasudeva Sastri to move along with me and we reached our residence. The Upanishads say that the 101 nadis terminate in the heart and 72,000 nadis originate from them and traverse the body. The heart is thus the center of the body. It can be a center because we have been accustomed to think that we remain in the body. In fact, the body and all else are in that center only. Reminiscences, talk number 409. A middle-aged man prostrated himself before Sri Bhagwan, who asked him about his well-being. After a few minutes, Sri Bhagwan recalled an incident saying that this was the only person whom Sri Bhagwan had slept. It happened about 30 years earlier. Sri Bhagwan was living in Mulayappal Tirtha. There was a Jada Swami living in the neighborhood, Mamarthu Guhai. This man, who was then about 8 years of age, used to play pranks with all, including Sri Bhagwan. One day he went to Maharshi and said that Jada Swami wanted a bucket. Without waiting for permission, he took away the bucket. Palani Swami, the attendant, was not there, so Sri Bhagwan followed the boy to Jada Swami's place. Before Bhagwan reached the place, the boy had told the other that Brahmana Swami had sent him a bucket. Jada Swami was wondering why. In a few minutes, Maharshi reached the place and learnt what had passed. So he raised his hand to give a slap to the boy, but the mind would not yield to slapping. But he argued with himself and determined that the urchin should be slapped, and so he did it. Talk 410. There is a Tamil stanza by O.I. It is an address of the prana to the stomach. Its meaning is, O stomach, how difficult it is to get on with you. You cannot starve when no food is available, nor can you take more and keep it in reserve when food is plenty. You will take only what you want and when you want. Thus you are troublesome to me, allowing me no rest. Sri Bhagwan altered it thus: stomach addressing the prana, O prana, how troublesome you are to me. You never allow me to rest but continue loading me with food off and on. It is so difficult to get on with you. Saying it, Sri Bhagwan laughed. Sri Bhagwan often says that he is made to eat more than is good for him. 21st May 1937, talk number 411. Sri Bhagwan, while speaking of the marriage ceremony among the Brahmins, said that the Kesyatra represents the bridegroom to be a Vairagi Purusha. It is therefore right that he should be given a Kanya virgin for leading a householder's life. It follows that a Vairagi can alone be a good householder. Talk number 412. Once on a cold day, Sri Bhagwan was sitting in a cave on the hill with his hands folded on the breast as a protection against the cold. Some Andhra visitor had come. He broke a coconut and poured the cold juice on Sri Bhagwan's head as Abhisheka. Sri Bhagwan was surprised. Talk number 413. A visitor asked, while making Nama Japa and after continuing it for an hour or more, I fall into a state like sleep. On waking up, I recollect that my japa has been interrupted, so I proceed again. Maharshi replies, like sleep, that is right, it is the natural state. Because you are now associated with the ego, you consider the natural state to be something which interrupts your work. You must repeat the experience until you realize that it is your natural state. You will then find that japa etc. is extraneous. Still, it will be going on automatically. Your present doubt is due to the false identity. Japa means clinging to one thought to the exclusion of all other thoughts. That is the purpose of japa. It leads to dhyana, which ends in self realization. Talk number 414. Mr. G.V. Subramanya, a devotee, has written some short poems which are interesting. Some of them refer to a child. Sri Bhagwan said God becomes a child and vice versa. That means that the sanskaras are yet latent in the child and thus its innocence is complete. When they are eradicated, even a grown-up man becomes a child once again and thus remains God. The author said the child creates the home atmosphere. Sri Bhagwan, yes, the children are always in the home. We too are there but are dreaming and imagining that we are outside the home. Sri Bhagwan added, I have rendered the word youth, yuva in Dakshinamurti Stotra by child Bala. This seems more appropriate. To be reborn is to become children over again. One must be reborn before gaining jnana, that is, recovering the natural state. Talk number 415. Sri Bhagwan read out some stanzas on the greatness of the Tamil language from the preface to a Tamil dictionary and explained the references in a very interesting manner. Of the three tests for establishing the superiority of Sava- Savagism over Jainism, the first related to Thrugana Sambadar entering the royal presence for curing the Pandya king of his illness. The queen was anxious because of his tender age, that is 12 years. Thrugana Sambandar set her doubts at rest by composing a stanza which said that though tender he was more than a match to the strong group of innumerable Jains. While reciting the stanza, Sri Bhagwan choked and could not proceed with it. The second test was the fire leaving the Kadjan leaf unburnt, and the third the Kadjan leaves opposing the current of the river through Vedakam. Sri Bhagwan also related the story of God Iswara begging food as an old man, taking food as a youth, and saving the devotee woman as a babe all at once. He again pointed out like babe lunatics prick Balo Matta Pisa Chavat, describing the states of Gyanis. There, Dev Bala is given precedence over others. Talk number 416. Sri Bhagwan said that Kamba Ramayana consists of 12,000 stanzas to Valmiki's 24,000. Kambas can be understood only by the learned and not by all. Tulsidas had heard Kamba Ramayana recited to him in Hindi by a Tamil saint and later wrote his famous Ramayana. Talk number 417. The Perfect Master is a book on Meher Baba published in 1937. There is an incident of a ship's officer instructing the reluctant immigration officer to let Baba and his party land in New York, USA. When one of the party went to thank him, he was nowhere to be found. The incident is recorded so as to leave an impression of a miracle happening in favor of Baba. The passage was read out to Sri Bhagwan. Bhagwan said, "Yes, yes, what of that? Devotee, is it a miracle?" Maharshi replies, "Maybe, but did not the immigration officer recognize the other to be his superior officer whose orders should be obeyed? There is an end of the matter. If a man of Baba's party could not find him, well, it may be due to several reasons." Talk number 418 asked if Sri Bhagwan had read Kamba Ramayana. Sri Bhagwan said, "No, I have not read anything. All my learning is limited to what I learned before my 14th year. Since then, I have had no inclination to read or learn. People wonder how I speak of Bhagavad Gita, etc. It is due to a hearsay. I have not read Gita nor waded through commentaries for its meaning. When I hear a sloka, I think that its meaning is clear and I say it, that's all and nothing more. Similarly, with my other quotations, they come out naturally. I realize that the truth is beyond speech and intellect. Why then should I project the mind to read, understand, and repeat stanzas, etc.? Their purpose is to know the truth. The purpose having been gained, there is no use engaging in studies. Someone remarked if Sri Bhagwan had been inclined to study these, there would not be a saint today. Maharshi, probably all my studies were finished in past births and I was surfeit. There is therefore no sanskara operating now in that direction. Talk number 419. The week before the Mahapuja, 3rd June 1937, has brought many visitors, including some relatives of Sri Bhagwan. There is among them an elderly lady, the widow of Subir, in whose house Sri Bhagwan was living when he left home in August 1896. Old memories revived when Sri Bhagwan saw her. He remembered how he remembered how on a festive occasion he was asked to help her in making some modkas delicacies, but he hesitated and finally refused because he was obliged to change his clothes and he could put on only kopina, loincloth or codpiece, which made him feel shy. He was reprimanded by his uncle and this lady. The uncle's wife said with humility and gentleness, "Quite no wonder that one destined for this high state could not do such humble work in those days." Then Sri Bhagwan remarked, "If I refuse to wear kopina once, I am now made to pay the penalty by wearing it always." The lady recalled to her mind how Sri Ramana was suffering from headache for several days together. Sri Bhagwan said, "Yes, yes, it was the month before I left Madurai. It was not a headache but an inexpressible anguish which I expressed at the time. These were, however, the outward symptoms which I said were due to headache. I remember how anxious you grew on account of my headache. You used to rub some ointment on my forehead every day. My anguish continued until I left Madurai and reached this place. 4th June 1937, talk number 420. A certain lawyer from Cuddalore quoted as following: "Neither the sun shines there, nor the moon, nor the stars, nor lightning. How can fire shine there? All these luminaries shine in his light, only with his light all these shine forth." He asked, "What does with his light mean here? Does all else shine on account of him or in his light?" Maharshi, there is only he. He and his light are the same. There is no individual to perceive other things because the perceiver and the perceived are only he. The sun, the moon, etc. shine forth how? Do they come and tell you that they shine forth, or does another apart from them say that they shine forth? Devotee, of course I say that they shine forth, Maharshi. Therefore they shine on account of you. Again, consciousness is necessary to know that they shine forth. That consciousness is yourself or you. So then you or your consciousness is the same as he and his light by which all else shine forth. Devotee, is that light like sunlight? Mercy, no. The sunlight is jada, insentient. You are aware of it. It makes objects perceptible and chases away darkness, whereas consciousness is that light which makes not only light but also darkness perceptible. Darkness cannot exist before sunlight, but it can remain in the light of consciousness. Similarly, this consciousness is pure knowledge in which both knowledge and ignorance shine. Devotee, if God is all, why does the individual suffer for his actions? Are not the actions prompted by him for which the individual is made to suffer? Maharshi, he who thinks he is the doer is also the sufferer. Devotee, but the actions are prompted by God and the individual is only his tool. Maharshi, this logic is applied only when one suffers but not when one rejoices. If the conviction prevails always, there will be no suffering either. Devotee, when will the suffering cease? Maharshi, not until individuality is lost. If both the good and bad actions are his, why should you think that the enjoyment and suffering are alone yours? He who does good or bad also enjoys pleasure or suffers pain. Leave it there and do not superimpose suffering on yourself. So I end this video here. Please like, comment and share the video and subscribe the channel, and next video number 29 will start with talk number 421 and page 414. Thanks a lot. Namaskar my dear friends.